First off, happy birthday, Bluebird. 100 years, that's quite an accomplishment.
Bluebird's celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, and it's a significant accomplishment. Of course, over that 100-year time period, we've seen a lot of changes.
You know, we're standing here on the backs of those that went ahead before us, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that first few that started out 100 years ago.
All those years, when the going was tough, they had a office manager over there by the name of Gracie Landfair, and she doled out the money to keep you alive here. That's about all she'd give you. But she saved a lot of acreage for these farmers around here. You know, 10 acres then was a pretty good spread. But she helped an awful lot of people.
Gracie Landfair, she was what made us, I think. She was a very intelligent woman, and she was the Lord God Almighty, and she was good. She made a lot of those guys.
There were 7 packing lines in that place, and you only packed 3 grades of fruit. Extra fancy, and C grades. Bluebird, Redbird, and
Gamebird.
what was the third one?
Was it Gamebird?
We used to get out of school for 2 weeks every fall during packing season because it was during the war in 40, 44, and there wasn't much help. So they let the school out for 2 weeks.
We used to have a dormitory over there for the workers to stay in the fall. I think they housed about 70 people. Had a restaurant in the morning, noon, and night. The first manager I remember was Old Man Warman. Lived up there where Dave Keene's place is now. He was the first I remember. He was a mean old bugger. He really was, or I thought he was at that time. Ray Hunter, he was later years, he was the manager of the warehouse.
But Couch was the manager. Then after that, Buck Blair came, and he was there for years.
I remember, you know, when they loaded those ice cars, the ice in each end, 750 boxes in them, and then they make a bulkhead in the center to squeeze the damn boxes in so they wouldn't rattle around.
And I can remember my father, when the bulk bin came out that we pick in so graciously today, when we were using the old wooden apple boxes, my dad saying, "Get that thing out of the orchard." He said, "I will never pick an apple in that thing. Get it out of the orchard." And I can remember the others coming to see him that we've talked about already, Niall and John, and saying, "George, this is the future. I don't give a blankety blank if it is the future." He said, "I will not pick in that thing." And what'll you do? Pour them on the ground, George? And because we're not going to have any more apple boxes. I can remember making apple boxes that summer just so he would satisfy his ego.
Very few pears in those days. Few Bartletts I can remember when I was growing up, and then very few Angels. Never heard of Bosque at that time. Of course they were around somewhere, but no, this whole thing, if a guy had a few acres of pears, you know, the rest of it was just Jonathan, Winesap, Rome Beauties.
We used to pack in the wood, or pick in the wooden boxes, and then stack those on a truck. I remember my granddad, he had a Jeep and he had a skid that hauled behind it, and he would stack the boxes on the skid. They'd haul them up here to the shed, and they'd load them onto the truck, hand load them onto a truck. It wasn't no forks, pick them up, put them on the truck, hand loaded them.
We were hand loading trucks with hand trucks, there's technology for you. Hand trucks and a belt. And we hand trucked them 6 high stacks, stacked that 1 high stack there, and we had little wooden pallets and little electric high stackers, and you would run that under the second stack and that little pallet and stack it. You had 1 stack here, the top of 1 here, the top of 1 here, and the next stack went in and sat on top of 2 stacks. So you had a 12 high stack of pear boxes, and we would fill the whole upstairs, the main floor and the basement that way with those boxes.
The fire siren blew and we responded, and as soon as we got there, you know, there was smoke coming out around the engine room. So more than likely, you know, we knew that we had a compressor that had probably started the fire. And we were hoping to contain the fire right around the engine room there and also that one end of the building where it was on. But it didn't take long and we realized this fire was far bigger than what we were going to be able to handle, and so we called for mutual aid, and the call went out as far as Wenatchee. So we had rigs there from Wenatchee, Cashmere, Leavenworth, and all over here in the valley to help put the fire out or try to stop it. Supposedly, the story is that they used to preserve those old wooden floors in the old cold storage building by pouring diesel oil on them in the summer to preserve the wood so it wouldn't flake up, dry out, and whatnot. And plus, you had all this sawdust installation, and no, it was a disaster waiting to happen, I guess you could say. And I can remember that we'd have a lot of board meetings. It may be a board meeting be called, and in 2 hours or an hour the board meeting would be done because decisions had to be made. I would have to say then that's when Dick Fagg really went to work. Of course, then you had to make sure you could find a contractor that could devote that amount of time. Dick kind of pulled a miracle, and he put that all together, and in the meantime he had Dick Harvey out in the field watching things go up and come together, reporting back to him. Dick was out trying to figure out how we could get Bartlett's packed so we could get them going on the market right away. And I think it was the Vale warehouse down at Cashmere they rented, and we ran Bartlett's down there for a while until we were able to get one of our lines actually going up in our shed. It was all but a miracle how fast all this got put together. It just modernized the facility and really set us up to start moving into the future.
In the mid-90s, the pricing for pears and apples went down considerably, and the expenses didn't go down with them. So it was a pretty tight time for most farmers. In the meantime, some of the larger retailers started advertising on television about South American fruit when we had a warehouse full of fruit of our own here in Peshastin. So some of the farmers really got irritated about it, and they decided to have a tractor rally, kind of on the same style they do in France and other countries periodically, which was followed up by going to Seattle shortly after.
From North Bend to Seattle on the tractors with helicopter coverage and coverage on the pier.
We had our picture on the front of the PI, I believe, with holding up a sign that says, "We're going broke."
Our history of merger started in the mid-'80s and continued on through the mid to late '90s when the last merger being the Skookum merger into Bluebird in 1996, 95, 96.
At the time, Flugraf was chairman of Peshastin Fruit Commerce, Bluebird, and I was chairman of Skookum. So we had a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, and it was trying at times, but it was a time all of the co-ops were getting smaller or going merged or going broke, so you had to do something. When I first started getting involved in the real workings of the co-op, there was at least 16 co-ops fairly close around here, And of course, Bluebird was made up at that time of Peshastin, Leavenworth, Cascoa, and Washington fruit. And Skookum was Highline and Eniad and Skookum. Skookum had been around a long time too. But that's the conglomeration that went into New Bluebird.
I think Bluebird had a very active role in a lot of changes that took place in the 90s, as far as the mergers and the mergers that came about that formed MVP, the marketing agency that came together with other shippers in the Wenatchee area, and that was Bluebird kind of showed itself to be ahead of the curve a little bit, because that was really the first consolidated effort that took place in the Wenatchee area as far as other shippers, specifically co-ops that joined a marketing entity.
We had shopped for a marketing agent for a while, and we went through one fairly good time, and then we went through a bad time, and I think the last time has been all right. Domex does a good job now, so I'll give them a plug. I hope Bob appreciates that.
It's been so much fun being part of this big family, and like any family, you have your disagreements, you have your arguments, but you always work it out. And it's been really fun watching the past growers be able to get the patronage that Bluebird has turned back to those old Skookum growers or to the old Bluebird growers. The smiles on their faces are always incredible.
I don't want to say too much good. Ron might want to raise, but no, Ron, as far as I look at it, he's just been a real blessing to the Bluebird organization from the standpoint he came in, he unified it, he got it going down the road, and he just handled yeah, we had a few problems, and he handled those and just, led the board and the warehouse and the growers.
There's a lot of individuals that help in the process of making that, to me, a first-run operation.
There's just so many memories with Bluebird. The boards that we've worked with and had, the staff, it's an amazing company. And we come through a lot of weathered times, hard times, and it means a lot to see a legacy, so to speak, still going and going through the ups and downs.
Peshastin is almost a little bit like Mayberry, and Dick, and really everybody there, Cowens and Rudolph and all those folks, it's literally they would give you the shirt off their back. They're just that kind of people. They're just raised right.
The employees care about our company. I think we have done a good job nurturing our employee base, and as far as the staff is concerned, there are so many people that do such a good job at Bluebird.
Rhonda, if I ever had a question or needed some information, I'd give Rhonda a call, and she would have the information for me, and she still does. If I need something, even though I'm not on the board now, she has the information.
Bruce Parkins is an outstanding person.
Anita, she's been great. Every time that I need help, I always call and she always makes time to help me out. Larry, he's great too. And every time that I call the main office for different questions, they're all great.
The orchard staff is another integral unit to our quality because, for example, Randy is our field man and he is out here all year round looking at the fruit, looking at our pruning, looking at everything that could go wrong or could be a winner for us, and having their support there, their ability to answer our questions instills a lot of confidence in what we do. And
John overviews our operation as far as products we put on and the nutrient loading and those type of things. So you have that real support network.
And when Bluebird's field staff is here, you know that they're here because they care.
There's also the guys at the shop, the guys that drive truck. They're just great to work with. Andy down there running the crew and the drivers, and it kind of helps take the edge off of harvest. But it's a great group of people to work with.
Bluebird by no means is looking to take a back seat to anybody in the industry. We look to continue to grow and expand who we are today, expand our pear program, expand our cherry program, continue to look to expand our organic program.
Today we're in Tonasket. We're in Block 1A, which is approximately 50 acres of pears. Used to be Golden Delicious, and we took the Goldens out, and today we're replanting Star Crimson.
It added, about 80,000 boxes of storage in a cold room for packed fruit. It's got a real nice racking system on it. It enclosed our shipping dock, so we're all cold chain through the whole way, and new shipping office, a little better productivity out there. So, and a new loading, 3 new loading bays, which is better for the trucks. So, it's been a huge improvement. The new cherry line, the GP Rainier line, which is top of the line technology for Rainiers, and we're looking at doing that on the big cherry line, with the defect sorter and the color sorter on the cherries, which is pretty slick.
This harvest has been progressing pretty good. Cherries, there was a few challenges during cherries with the rain and the heat, but overall I think it came out, the quality in the box is pretty good. Apricots is kind of the same story. They were okay, size was good. I think in general I've been happy with how harvest has been coming. We're getting into apples and pears now. Looks to be good crops, quality's coming in pretty decent.
It's a joint venture that we have with our individual growers as far as providing the service that's necessary for them to be successful. My attitude has always been that it begins and it ends with the grower, and that's our commitment to maintain that relationship, to build on that relationship, to provide that grower every opportunity to be as successful as they can be by being a member of Bluebird, and for Bluebird to be as successful as we can be by dealing and having a relationship with growers as we currently do.
We have a great family here in the warehouse, and with the employees and the grower relationship we all have, and that is, I think, second to none.
One of the things that I find really refreshing and that I most enjoy in working with our board of directors is that they're not self-serving. They are here for the betterment of the organization. When they make decisions as a board, they take off their individual hats. We got a bunch of good growers out there, and they're concerned about the product they deliver to the customers.
We grow the best pears in the world. We have the best climate for it. We have the best growers doing it. They're generational, and so that's not going to go away.
Maybe some that thought 15 years ago that Bluebird would never make it to this point, but I think through hard work and dedication for myself and for the people that I'm fortunate to work with here at Bluebird, our staffs and all, that it's made a difference as far as the decisions that we've made, the dedication that we've had, and the effort and the passion that we've had to do our job is what allowed Bluebird to survive these changes in the industry and to be here today celebrating our 100th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Feliz aniversario, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Feliz aniversario! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird! Happy anniversary, Bluebird!